side. It shall not cleave to me. A forward heart shall depart from me. I will not know wicked person. This is the end of the scripture.
Thank you, my dear. And what's up? How's your night?
It was good. It was good.
Hmm.
Although a little rainfall during this morning, about 2, after 2, 3. Something.
What you doing up after 3? What you doing up?
No, I get up.
You had to sleep.
I went to sleep early last night. I went to bed early, so I just get up and go and use the washroom and then lie down in the room.
So how come you go to bed early last night? What happened?
Well, I was home for the whole day, and then after going to my work and watch a little, I watch a movie, African movie. Up from after 3 to after 6. Maybe 7. That movie is a long movie, right? What I would end up nice. I like how it end up. in the ended up this boy, since he's a small boy, he had a gift to cure people, heal people. And then this young lady, the father died, and the lady was a widow. She had 2 girls. So like, I don't know if it's them God, whatever, they make one get crazy. So this one now leave, going. She says she's going for healiness for his sister. And she meet up, this man is healed. He had to walk the road, and he tell us he knew and say, don't come out until after 5 because he be outside. They go and heal. And so he face bar now. So when she's the first person he see, and he didn't see nobody. So he fell. He fell. The mother wanted him. He want to pick him up and bring him in some home. The girl had to run for her life because they spread the news. So well, after all them, I think she was sing, like she's singing. She had to go now.
Just if we go take that story.
Yeah. I'll tell you the whole story.
We will tell that another day, darling. We can take that another day. We have to go.
Yeah, have a nice day.
You too, darling. Take care.
Yeah,
all right, bye-bye. Tell you if we stay with Drumsticks today, all 2 o'clock today, we get that story. Thanks, Drums. Nice to laugh in the morning. Good morning, Grenada. Good morning, Carriacou, Petey Martinique. Wherever you are, and you link in, top of the morning to you. Tremendous love coming your way. Will always come your way from the studios of Real 91.9, 91.5, www.therealfmgrenada.com.
Ozone really gets it clean. Get with the Ozone family line of products. Ozone liquid laundry detergent. Perfect for your semi or fully automatic washing machines. Yet suitable for your hand wash. Soft on your hands. Ozone disinfecting cleaner. It's the most powerful disinfectant and cleaner with a long-lasting fresh scent. Tackles every job around the house or office. Ozone detergent powder and ultra soft fabric softener gets your clothes clean with a natural freshness. Keeps your colors bright. Choose from the wonderful scents: soft flower, ocean breeze, and the new aloe vera. Keep your kitchen sparkling clean with the Ozone dishwashing liquid, Ozone sponges, and cleaning cloth. Ozone toilet bowl cleaner removes lime scale and kills germs while giving your toilet a refreshing scent. Ozone really gets it clean. Marketed and distributed by Calico, Frequente St. George's, and are available at shops and supermarkets nationwide.
Who wants to save 30%? Everybody! Now more than ever, Flow understands the need to make your dollar stretch. Our new bundles can help you save 30% off your current bill. Plus, get a free speed upgrade on your in-home internet. Simply add your mobile to your current home services account and save 30%. It's easy. Sign up now and save. All on the most reliable fixed and mobile network on island. Visit a Flow store or call us at 1-800-804-2994 for more information. Flow, it only gets better. Terms and conditions apply.
Greens Concept introduces the latest innovation in air conditioning technology in Grenada, providing the most energy efficient, environmentally friendly air conditioning units in Grenada. Using a natural refrigerant, all air conditioning unit systems are up to 40% more energy efficient than the current units used in the Grenadian market. Powerful cooling while using less electricity and very inexpensive. That means more money in your pocket. We offer free delivery to all locations of installation and installed by top quality trained professional engineers with over 20 years experience in the business. Contact Greens Concept 417-5460 or 442-1663. Email greensconcept@gmail.com. At Greens Concept, we cool you and the planet.
Greens Concepts announces special prices on 18,000 and 24,000 BTU units. You have been saving on power, now save on prices. Call us today.
Hey, I am Corporal 85 Grant, attached to CRD Eastern Division, reminding you that incest and all other sexual violence is a crime.
And me say no make them take advantage of you.
Well, it worked yesterday morning when I switched around the cameras. My camera didn't freeze at all, meaning the one that Robert was supposed to be using, it didn't freeze at all for the entire duration. And I'm trying it this morning and it's not freezing. Hers is. Well, mine's legit, but hers. Anyway. Be that as it may, let me get the weather.
It's a hungry world out there, with everybody scrambling to get a share.
Real FM Radio, Cassia Johnson, good morning. How you doing, my dear?
Good morning to you. I'm well. How are you?
I'm okay. What's the weather going to be like?
Well, here is the weather for today, Wednesday, 16th June, 2021. Presently at the airport, conditions are cloudy with showers. Winds are from the east-northeast at 20 miles per hour. Pressure 1013.8 millibars, which is above normal and rising. Present temperature 25.5 degrees Celsius. Relative humidity 94%. Yesterday's maximum temperature was 31.1 degrees Celsius. Minimum temperature last night 25.4 degrees Celsius. There was 7.3 millimeters of rainfall over the past 24 hours at the airport, which brings the total for the month to 76.6 millimeters. Looking at the public forecast valid for today and tonight, the weather is expected to be partly cloudy, breezy, and hazy, with scattered light to moderate showers, becoming cloudy overnight with moderate to heavy showers and a medium chance of thunder. A moderate dust haze warning is in effect. Maximum temperature today 30.0 degrees Celsius. Winds east-northeasterly to east-southeasterly at 14 to 24 miles per hour, gusting higher with showers. Seas moderate, waves 4 to 6 feet in open waters. A small craft advisory remains in effect. Tides are currently high and will be low at 1:30 p.m., high again at 4:15 p.m. Sunset today, 6:33, sunrise tomorrow, 5:44. Again, the weather is expected to be partly cloudy, breezy, and hazy, with scattered light to moderate showers, becoming cloudy overnight with moderate to heavy showers and a medium chance of thunder. A moderate dust haze warning is in effect, and also a small craft advisory remains in effect. From the Met Office, I am Cassia Johnson.
Thank you very much, Cassia, and yourself and all the other workers have a wonderful day.
Thank you, same to you.
Okay, great. It's Real FM in the morning. Okay, what do I do now? Yeah, I know. Today's what, Wednesday, so we got Waterwise at 7:30. I was looking to have Stanley Charles for a minute this morning. I'm not too sure if I should be able to squeeze him in, because if we have Waterwise at 7:30, and then we have my guest this morning is Emmeline Pierre, She's going to be at 7:45. So, hey, stick around. Loads in store for you, man. Yeah, the bucket full this morning.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Neil Streit, an international social skill consultant, and I'm here to let the public know that every child has a right to say no to sexual violence.
And me say no make them take advantage of you.
When you think of Grenville Cooperative Credit Union, what comes to mind? A reliable financial institution that has stood the test of time. Maybe you think about the convenience and quality financial service they provide. Do you think about their readiness to help you retire, achieve your academic goals, build your dream home, buy the piece of land, or the elegant car? Or maybe the convenience of their different locations, Jubilee Street in Grenville, or the new outlet on Lucas Street in St. George's in the Derek Sylvester building. Maybe you always consider how they're always a phone call away, 442-8602 or 438-4228. They're also online, www.grenvillecreditunion.com. No matter what comes to mind, remember, Grenville Cooperative Credit Union is the best place to save and to borrow, working with you to make your brighter tomorrow.
There comes a time in every household when a loved one passes on, and we all need the support and guidance of a trusted friend. Lacroix Brothers Funeral Home has been your dedicated friend. And now, for your convenience and added financial ease, we introduce specially designed complete funeral packages from as low as $5,500. Same professional quality services, but now greater choices at the lowest possible prices. As you prepare to enter your loved one into eternal rest, visit Lacroix Brothers Funeral Home and select a package that brings added comfort to the entire family. Conditions apply. Serving you from locations in St. George's, Grenville, and Carriacou. Call us at 440-2302 any time of day. Lacroix Brothers Funeral Home, continuing a tradition of excellence.
M&M Hardware Limited, Hope St. Andrew and Dusty Highway St. George. Shop conveniently for all your building materials including plumbing, electrical, lumber, cement, steel and much more. We manufacture roofing sheets available in 11 colors, aluminum windows, doors, insect screens and hurricane shutters. Installation services are available for all our manufactured products. Our opening hours are Monday to Friday 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Saturdays 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. M&M Hardware Limited. Come on in and experience our affordable prices, or call us 444-6757 or 440-6757 Dusty Highway. Email us at info@mahonhardware.com or mnmdusty@mahonhardware.com. M&M Hardware, foundation to roof. Let's build together.
The first word when you speak about furniture is classic. Yes, at Classic Furniture, they design and make the best in local furniture. All their products are made from the finest local wood available on island. You think it, they design it and make it to your expectations. The highest standards at the best possible price, and they also provide higher purchase for you, their valued customers. Located on Ben Jones Street in Grenville, with their factory at Chantimel in St. Patrick. That's where you need to visit when looking for products made of the finest local wood. They deliver and install items at no extra cost. Your satisfaction is their mission. The extra step is taken to ensure their customers are completely satisfied. They do doors and finished kitchens, supplies mattresses, and restores antique pieces to look like the first day they were made. Hey, give us a call on 442-4645 and 442-9726. Classic Furniture, Grenada's homegrown furniture producers.
Where you go? Where you walk? What you say? When you talk? Where you go? Where you walk? What you say? When you talk?
It's a hungry world out there, with everybody scrambling to get a share. Wolves in sheep clothing, birds of prey waiting to swoop down on you, and there's no telling what they'll do. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. Where you go when you're walking, what you say when you're talking, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful, careful. I say we have to prepare to meet the challenges of life without fear. Greed and jealousy, hatred and envy, man, you have to move with care in that jungle out there. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. How you move when you're moving, which direction you going, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful, careful.
You gotta be careful, you need to be careful, and if you're not careful, boy, things can happen to you. What's with your sour face? What's with your sour face?
I'm not well.
Well, duh.
Duh.
No, that, and your face is the one that was on camera. I just realized that, eh?
That's okay.
So, somebody saying smile. Somebody saying, oh my gosh, is that what we have?
Really?
You need to do better. No, for real. You want to, where is it? It's in the WhatsApp.
Let me see.
Smile, Nabila. See?
I see smile.
Okay. You see? You see? Read it. Right, good. See?
Okay.
All right. So it's 7:30, and we should be having Waterwise just around this time. Now, for us to find out whether or not we have Waterwise, we have to go online. Folks, this is how it works. So we go online, check the email, and then we download. It takes a couple of seconds to download. It's not very difficult to download. We see the name Wendy Chateau, yeah, and that means there is a Waterwise. So we click the download button. Ask us if Waterwise would have been saved and basically be ready to run, just like that.
For the hurricane season, do you have a plan? Remember, water is essential in any emergency plan. Determine your family's water needs. Ensure your storage containers are food grade and store at minimum 35 gallons of water per person per day for at least 1 week. Understand that your planning may be different this year because of the need to protect yourself and others from COVID-19. Take the necessary actions to ensure that your household has an adequate stored water supply should there be an interruption. Be prepared. NWASA, committed to meeting customers' needs. Good morning, listeners, and welcome to another edition of Waterwise, a production of the National Water and Sewerage Authority, NWASA. I am Wendy Chateau. On this morning's program, we continue sharing NWASA's plans for improving operations on the sister isles of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Here's Planning and Development Manager Mr. Wim Cox in a continuation from our last program.
Carriacou, and I mentioned it the last time that we were here, is also part of the beneficiary of one of the larger projects that we're implementing now in Grenada, which is the Green Climate Fund project. We have under that project for Carriacou an additional 3 tanks. Yeah, and I mentioned this the last time. We want to have one at Bel Air, one somewhere in Top Hill, and one for Belvedere. So 3 additional storage tanks in addition to supply lines for the north side of the island. So now under this phase of the project, we're going south, so from 6 Roads to Hermitage, and then we want to hit the north side of the island. The plant on the east side is going to be pumping up to a tank on High North, and then we'll create a whole distribution system from that plant for the entire north, east, and so on. So we're looking at, and the whole way to this is all dependent on how the implementation goes, but between now and 3-4 years, we should have Carriacou covered for the most part with lines and direct access to water supply to homes, to not have to worry about dry season, rainy season, as the case may be. So that's the plan for now. But immediately in the next week, we are going to have that expression out in the newspaper, so contractors should look out for it. It's just part of our process. We send out an expression of interest where we expect contractors to submit information about themselves, their experience, and so on and so forth. Following that, we would do a short list based on the better ones that we see, and then we would send a request for proposal from them. We would ask them for a cost for executing the works, and then we do tender process, and based on all of the different criteria that we look at: cost, experience, work that you've done of a similar nature, and from there we would come up with a contractor who we would engage for executing that work. So once that pipeline goes down south, it means that we can connect Lauriston, Leicester, Harveyville, all the way to Hermitage. So that side of the island would benefit from access to water first. And simply so because the tank is already existing on that side of the island. And again, as it stands now with the plant running how it's running, we could not have done that because the tank feeds just Hillsborough now. And because of how intermittent it operates, we could barely supply Hillsborough. The plant as it stands is just probably running about 30% its capacity. So once the intake is sorted and there is no more issues, and I'm saying that guardedly because you fix one thing and then something may happen, but our plan is that we get it going 100%.
Planning and Development Manager Mr. Wim Cox speaking during an interview on Vibes 103 FM in Carriacou about the authority's developmental plans for the Sister Isles. That's our program for today. On behalf of the entire team at Nawassa, I am Wendy Chateau, wishing you a fantastic day. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, to go follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay connected.
Are you prepared for the hurricane season? Do you have a plan? Remember, water is essential in any emergency plan. Determine your family's water needs. Ensure your storage containers are food grade and store at minimum 35 gallons of water per person per day for at least 1 week. Understand that your planning may be different this year because of the need to protect yourself and others from COVID-19. Take the necessary actions to ensure that your household has an adequate stored water supply should there be an interruption. Be prepared. Nawassa, committed to meeting customers' needs.
Ozone really gets it clean. Get with the Ozone family line of products. Ozone liquid laundry detergent. Perfect for your semi or fully automatic washing machines. Yet suitable for your hand wash. Soft on your hands. Ozone disinfectant cleaner. It's the most powerful disinfectant and cleaner with a long-lasting fresh scent. Tackles every job around the house or office. Ozone detergent powder and ultra soft fabric softener gets your clothes clean with a natural freshness. Keeps your colors bright. Choose from the wonderful scents: soft flower, ocean breeze, and the new aloe vera. Keep your kitchen sparkling clean with the Ozone dishwashing liquid, Ozone sponges, and cleaning cloth. Ozone toilet bowl cleaner removes lime scale and kills germs while giving your toilet a refreshing scent. Ozone really gets it clean. Marketed and distributed by Calico, Frequente St. George's, and are available at shops and supermarkets nationwide.
Dr. Chaitan again, International Social Skill Consultant, reminding you that we should stop every form of sexual violence here in the beautiful island of Grenada.
And me say no make them take advantage of you.
Now more than ever, Flow is working hard to keep you connected to the things that matter most. Your family, your work, and your favorite entertainment. We are also providing Flow Study free of charge so students can stay connected and up to date with their schoolwork. And because your safety is our highest priority, you can manage your account from the safety of your own home through the MyFlow app. We are here for you, keeping you connected.
M&M Hardware Limited, Hope St. Andrew and Dusty Highway St. George. Shop conveniently for all your building materials including plumbing, electrical, lumber, cement, steel and much more. We manufacture roofing sheets available in 11 colors, aluminum windows, doors, insect screens and hurricane shutters. Installation services are available for all our manufactured products. Our opening hours are Monday to Friday 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Saturdays 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. M&M Hardware Limited. Come on in and experience our affordable prices or call us 444-6757 or 440-6757 Dusty Highway. Email us at info@mahonhardware.com or mnmdusty@mahonhardware.com. M&M Hardware, foundation to roof. Let's build together.
Get high making money moves with the NLA's new Aces High Scratch game with 4 chances to win. Beat the dealer's card to win the prize shown. Reveal an A symbol. And just like that, you are automatically a winner. Scratch away to win the top prize of $10,000. Win easy with Scratch. Must be 18 or older to play.
Where you walk, what you say, when you talk, where you go, where you walk, what you say, when you talk.
It's a hungry world out there, with everybody scrambling to get a share. Wolves in sheep clothing, birds of prey waiting to swoop down on you, and there's no telling what they'll do. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. Where you go when you're walking, what you say when you're talking. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful, careful.
It is real. It's 91.9, 91.5, www.drealfmgrenada.com. Here's a morning when I'm in a bit of a bother, yeah? And I'm taking a chance on myself and trying to realize whether or not I could do it. I have as our guest this morning the Honorable Emlyn Pierre, who is the Minister for Education. Now, here's what. I knew I was having Emlyn Pierre. So my thing is normally night before sit and, go through and ensure that I have it. And I didn't do it last night. I didn't do it last night.
Okay.
Right? I didn't do it last night. So I came in this morning and I grabbed my notepad.
And you did it?
No.
You still didn't do it? Blank?
El Blanco.
You just proceed as you see fit. I'm not worried. I'm not fearful.
It's not about being worried or fearful. I hate not being prepared like that. I just hate it. And
Well, normally what you do with all your discussions, for this particular round of discussions, you normally start off with what's happening within their constituency and not so much as it relates to their ministry. So,
And you think,
constituency.
okay, so we deal with constituency first?
Yes. And then we can move into ministry. Of course, we know they had the grade 5s doing the CPEA, and recently I think the grade 6 doing the CPEA. Recently I think it was the grade
results
2s.
came out?
No, not as yet. The grade 2s, and is it 2, 4, and 5? I'm not sure, that did the MTC.
What is MTC now?
Listen, I have absolutely no idea. All I know, my daughter have to do MTC. My daughter had to do MTC sometime last week. It was last week, Wednesday, I believe it was, yes. Last week, Wednesday. Okay. And then this week here, we have final examinations before they go on their summer break. So we have that window. That's what's ongoing right now, final examinations.
Okay.
And I believe...
But you see, Emlyn is a different...
What?
A different person, a different tiger to deal with. Because whereas you have constituency and you have ministry, you also have Emlyn as the public relations officer for the new national party.
All right, there we go. So we can
it's
move into the new national party last. Yeah.
Oh, you could put them last?
Because it like really.
But look at you.
What are we asking about the new national party right now?
Who gave you that?
Currently, the new national party is what they're doing. They're getting caretakers for the respective constituencies that
they had a big meeting last night.
I saw that don't have representation, or for persons who are leaving for the next general election. That's what's going on with the NMP. There could be more. I mean, we'll find
Good morning.
out after.
Good morning, Mr. Donald.
Morning, Primus.
And good morning to Nabella.
Good morning.
Right. Mr. Donald, I know your name special topic this morning, but I have a concern I want to share with you.
Go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, Mr. Donald. Concerning the incentives that they're giving for him to take the injection, Mr. Donald.
Who giving incentives?
Well, at least there is a program within the Ministry of Health in collaboration with the LATO. Say that we're giving $10,000 that will be a draw at certain time between now and the 27th. So they're giving an incentive, you will win $10,000 if you take the vaccine. I don't support that, Mr. Donald. I never thought we'd have reached that situation. It was announced by the minister on the press conference yesterday. I think there are macho people. If we want to take it, we take it. But this thing, it's more or less looking like a bribe. Which isn't that mean for putting that way. I don't support that. You're taking another one? Thank you.
Thank you. So they didn't realize that idea was copyrighted by me.
Yeah, we first did that story because the Prime Minister hinted at it.
And we spoke about it here extensively and say, hey, we need to do this, we need to do this. We've been speaking about this ourselves, and Depot have been speaking about that. And then, okay.
But most people,
you know what? I will just stop
Yeah.
thinking ideas and stuff like that, and just remain, just chill, just look, man.
They're not paying for ideas. But most the John Public has it as it's a bribe, and the ministry shouldn't have stooped so low and all of these things. For me personally, as I told someone last night, it's an incentive.
Let's do a check and see if
the minister's ready.
If minister is there. All right. No, she's not ready yet. I've not seen her. Her mic is off and her video is off.
So she probably stepped away.
So she's okay. There she's all lighted up. So we're not ready for her yet, but we can take her because she's all lighted up. Wow, you should see her. She's really happening. Big smile and thinking. Let me forget you in the bill and let me go and say good morning to the minister. Let me make sure I get the best shot of the minister this morning, the best shot possible. Now that's a good one, and we say, Minister Pierre, good morning to you. How are you doing?
Good morning, Andre. Good morning to your co-host.
Well, she's
Always a pleasure.
yeah, co-host only for a couple of minutes, because she be gone. She do normally she just disappears. She just leave
But
me
that's what
alone.
happened. I leave you to have your
Have a lady
discussions.
in
So how you doing,
It's
Minister?
always good to have a lady in the room, so I don't think she should run off.
Okay, well, you're the lady in the room this morning, so you don't have to worry. What a nice blue dress you have, Minister. Lovely. Let me show the viewers how lovely you look this morning. There you are. What a lovely blue dress you have.
Well, I want to just say this morning how happy I am to have this opportunity to share and to discuss, and it's always something I treasure when you get that opportunity to interact with the public. Of course, I know you all add your bits and pieces, but for me, I treasure the opportunity to interact with the public.
Well, thanks again for accepting that invitation to be on air with us this morning. Just for the next hour or so, we'll be talking to you about different things. Realizing, and I was just saying to Nabila before you came on that, hey, I normally take the night and I prepare and cross off questions, put in questions, and for some strange reason last night I just didn't. I was rather delinquent, and I don't know why, but let me see how I can do this morning. And identified three areas for you, Minister: constituency, ministry, and party. Would you be comfortable with those?
Well, if I say I am not, that would be grounds for.
All right, so
with my hats and my portfolio, I can see how I can say I'm not comfortable.
Right. So, Minister, let's start, of course, with constituency, because I love to start there because your constituency is what gives you the authority in the ministry. It also gives you whatever authority in the party. The constituency is where everything starts. What's happening in your constituency at this point in time?
Okay. So I would say in terms of what is happening right now, we have actually started our community engagement programs. As you know, because of COVID-19, we had no choice but to hold on certain activities. And when I say community engagement, I want to explain what that means in St. Andrews Southeast terms. Now, normally every year, we do 4 rounds of engagements in the constituency, planned engagements. And so we go to every polling division and we either hold a meeting, at a meeting where you share information, or beginning of the year we hold a meeting that actually gets the community involved in prioritizing what they want for that particular. And then we have another round which might be a social engagement. So we have those 4 rounds of activities which, because of COVID-19, we had to put on hold. And so we started back, and then when the lockdown again, we had to stop. And we started in recent times. We completed, I would say in the last month, we completed 11 of those meetings, meaning that we would have made that round, and we restarted that second round. So that for us is critical because it really, really was not something I enjoyed, not being able to get into those settings. And we still have a difficulty because people want to hug, they want to kiss, they want to feel you, and you still have to restrain yourself. So even when you do it, it's still missing something, Andre.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, and you notice that's where I start engagement. For me, that is something that I really treasure, that opportunity to see the boys cook and to see the ladies prepare their stuff, And for me, that I breathe on that. Now, added to that, our infrastructure programs, those were not hard hit as the social engagements were. And so what we've been doing in recent times is to speed up and double up and to try to make up for the period during the heat of COVID when we would have lost some time on the ground. For example, our roads, we've been doubling up those things that we had planned to do this year. and part of last year to ensure that those that we agreed we were going to do, that we're going to complete them irrespective of the circumstances. So whether it's roads, whether it's repairs of facilities, like for example, basketball courts, construction of bathroom and toilets, all of those infrastructural stuff that we do where people have to go out, we have been fast tracking and pushing those. We also still believe that we're going to make some advancement as it relates to the lighting of our first playing field, and we aggressively working on that. Andrea, I need to say this. One of the things I treasure is staying focused, not being distracted. So it's okay, the talk and the talk and the talk, but we are pushing the work that we have to do and the commitments that we've made. But also, Andre, persons who know me well in the constituency, while I view infrastructure work as important, anybody who knows me well, the human side of things, the human resource development of people, that's where my passion lies, right? And one of the things we introduced this year, and interestingly, this, in spite of COVID, we've been able to introduce some new initiatives, some new programs. And what we've done is visiting different areas of the constituency, engaging people who may not have education on their mind. And I put it this way to say, even the boys on the block, the girls who probably maybe have 2-3 children and close their mind to education. I started this initiative, and I have to say, Andre, I've been so impressed with the feedback, right? And that is why we must never give up on people. So I'll just give one example. Young lady, 3 children, and after one of those engagements, she said to me, Minister Pierre, I know you're going to assist me. And I'm saying to you, I want to go to NULO. I want to prove to other young women that even if you probably didn't have the start that you wanted, that you can finish strong, right? And so while the support is there to help in terms of, taking care of the children and so on, she is back at NULO. And this is one of the stories for the rest of my life I would remember. Just seeing her in that photograph at NULO that morning, would have lifted my spirit for the entire day. And so we place a lot of emphasis on that. We have currently about 60 persons who are into skills training development programs. In addition to that, we have a number of persons who have gotten support for attending SGU. We have students who are overseas in Cuba, in China, TAMSIS, in NULO. We place emphasis on people's development because we recognize the connection between lack of education and poverty. And so we've been working aggressively on that. But the people who are interested in business, so you may not necessarily want to go the line of education or being employed with somebody. And through government initiatives, we've been able to guide some persons into business activities, and so they are able, even in these tough times, to get going in that regard. Another thing I want to say as it relates to people's development, because we're taking that to a whole new level when we say that. Now, there are a lot of people, and think back of Ivan, a lot of people who baptize themselves as contractors, right? Carpenters, masons, all over they came from. And there are some persons who never had formal training in that area. And sometimes luck and chance, and we end up with something that is successful. But we do believe that a number of our contractors, and we are in the process of that program, putting together that program to support people in that skill area, that you did not have the formal training. You're into the area, but you need that support. How does somebody move from being a helper to a contractor? It takes a lot of effort. And so these are the kind of initiatives that we have been implementing to give that kind of support for the human resource capacity. But the social side of that, the bathroom and toilet programs, support for electricity, the centers, I want to stress that. We started off this journey with no community center in St. Andrews Southeast. None. We are at the stage now where we have partnered with a church and we have one community center for the Grand Bacolet area. We have now built the Mamakan Community Center and the Telescope Community Center. So we can say north, south, and in the middle. And for us, community center means something totally different to what it has evolved into over the recent years. And we know the challenges that when you leave a facility to the community, what happens? So structure, management, critical. But services, we have started the process where computer training and literacy, not just for children, but for adults, the issue of support with homework, right? Support with SBAs, support with reading, even summer programs and Easter programs for engaging those students. These are some of the initiatives that are critical to us. But I must quickly mention, Andre, because this is a very long answer to a short question. I must finally mention our senior citizens. Now, prior to COVID-19, every Tuesday, we engaged our senior citizens at one location, and we bussed them there, fed them, engaged them, massages, education on health and all of that. They played games and had fun. Andre, this is one of the painful things for me coming out of COVID-19. We have not been able to do that program, but we have been engaging them in other means. And so out of that was birthed the soup kitchen, where every week, 3 times for the week, we distribute soup to senior citizens and people who are in a situation that they cannot prepare for themselves. Yeah. And then we have ladies who visit the homes and so on. So, Andre, we have been working very hard, quietly, and doing what we have to do to serve the people of the constituency. Can't do all at the same time, but doing our best.
So what would you say, Minister, has been your biggest challenge in the constituency recently? And then let's put COVID on the back burner here. We're not supposed to, but we're going to put it on the back burner so that you can answer that question. What would you say are your biggest challenges in that constituency?
Mm-hmm. So I would say the biggest challenge would be obviously resources, meaning that you always have more needs than you have resources. And so balancing that is always a challenge. So you may have 25 roads on your list that you want to do, and everybody would want their road to be done first. But how do you balance that? How do you say, well, we can only do this 5 this year, or we can only do this 10 this year? So balancing between needs and available resources, because not many people understand that there's a limit to resources. So balancing the needs and the resources is a challenge. But I want to say this, Andre, majority of people in the constituency, I believe they understand that. As a matter of fact, this is why we've taken the approach over the years. I don't decide what we do in communities. We engage communities and they prioritize. So I remember a heated conversation in Mamakan, where the community was debating a daycare center over the lighting of the playing field. I don't make those decisions. I engage the community. So while needs may be more than available resources, I believe we have an understanding that we cannot do everything at the same time, but every year you can see what we have done moving closer to the addressing of all of those needs.
All right, so then let's move to the infrastructure that you've been able to achieve with the same limited resources that you just spoke about. What are some of the infrastructures that you've been able to achieve recently?
Right. And let me also add something with regards to challenge and specific now to infrastructure. Now, let us use roads as an example. Now, we can probably get twice time. I'm no contractor, but I'm estimating about twice time the number of roads if we take a different approach. And this is the approach, that you have one team that is engaged throughout the year, meaning you have a brigade of persons, they're employed, they are being paid by the government of Grenada, right? But you use them and they do most, if not all of the roads. So the monies you would have paid for labor can go into doing more roads. So that is an approach we could take, but guess what is the downside of that? Now you have ordinary contractors who need an opportunity in the community. So I'm just showing you another challenge where you have to balance again to say, well, I could do this, but what would be the effects of this? Number of our contractors will not be able to get a contract, and so we have to address those. So roads have been one of the criticals. We have so many roads in the constituency. What we've been doing is trying to ensure in every polling division, every year, that we can point to the roads that we have addressed, even if it's partially. So people understand, and they've become used to this, that we won't do 300 feet, but we would do a piece of that, and we do another piece in another area. Then we come back and we continue. And because of that, we have been able to touch every polling division in the constituency with regards to, and we continue towards the end of the year. The issue of housing assistance, not just material, but labor, that is something that is critical. Many people would get the material, but they don't have the funds to provide for labor. And so we've been assisted. The upgrade of community centers, as I mentioned, basketball courts, and we have some additional work to do the end of this year, towards the end of this year. The social areas that we've been also placing emphasis on. For example, the beaches. How do we work on developing, and we've started that process, facilities for children to recreate and so on. All of those we view as important. Public bathrooms and toilet. So we want to ensure they don't reach a condition that is not suitable for people to use. So we maintain those throughout the year, right? And so for us, we are looking forward, top of the priority and in terms of the infrastructure list is that of how do we introduce the lighting of playing fields, and we have started the process. I mean, it's quite an expensive venture, and we probably would start off first and then move into, but we need to make sure that we have those facilities where young people can get more involved in positive things in their community. I also want to make another reference to the Crochet area. We have been for years in dialogue with the church, the Catholic Church, and as you know, there was an old basketball court, and it's probably more than 10 years we've been in dialogue. How can we get that facility for the young people in the constituency, particularly in that area? The church was very uncomfortable because of past experiences, because the court is probably a couple feet away from the bedroom of the priest. So you can well imagine, Andre, what happens at night when the guys would want to play. And so the priest is not too comfortable. And they did explain to me, Minister, it's not just that we can get a good rest when the night comes, but it's also what happens when a service is going on. The guys don't understand that you need to hold up the game, let the service finish, and so on. So I understand both sides of the coin. However, we have gotten approval that we can use a piece of land behind the school. And so even if we had lost the funding that we got for the repair of the previous basketball court, we believe that we are going to find resources to do that new one, starting from scratch, but better than nothing. And these are some of the new initiatives that we are looking at, and we aggressively pushing that infrastructural agenda forward.
Minister, you spoke of contractors and the need to try to appease as many contractors as possible. I'm going to put forward something to you, and you may choose to comment or not comment on it. It's entirely up to you. Would you agree, Minister, that we have too many persons claiming to be contractors and that there's a need for some sort of something to qualify you? Because I've seen roads, for instance, built by different contractors, and you look at the first piece being done, and when you look at the second and third pieces, you wonder, hold on, yes, the same contractor did not do it, but was that person or the persons who did portion 2 and 3, were they really contractors? Did they know anything about building roads? And that seems to be casting pearls before swine. It may not be a good thing for you to comment on politically, but I'm putting it at your door. Do you believe that there's a need for us to start qualifying, or for the Ministry of Communication and Works, Public Utilities, to start saying, okay, fine, this is what is required if you are to be considered a contractor, and not just Andre waking up and probably because he's friends with someone, he gets a contract, so he becomes a contractor. Do you think that there's a need to handle that at this time?
So, Andre, I totally believe that in everything you need standards, right? And of course, when it comes to our contractors, there are also the checks and balances that is supposed to be in place through the Ministry of Works. So, for example, if a contractor gets a job, the Ministry of Works, through the constituency office, when I say the constituency office, meaning Ministry of Works office within that parish or constituency, is supposed to be monitoring that project, is supposed to actually sign off on that project as completed to their satisfaction, and then the person gets paid. So we have to make sure two things. I am agreeing with you. Training and development and certification is never too much, and that is needed for improvement in standards. And we also have to improve our mechanism or systems for monitoring projects, supervising projects, ensuring that this contractor, if he doesn't deliver on the quality, does not get another contract, for example. So in other words, you want to set those standards and ensure that you have the people who are enforcing. But let us also be fair to persons, in that I believe there is need for the training and certification aspect of it as well. So and let me just plug in here, that the NTA, National Training Agency, does have a program where they can assess your previously acquired knowledge and skills. And I believe, just talking off my head as you raised this, it is something that we should encourage for our contractors, and we can run programs. So one area where many of our contractors are weak is when it comes to assessing quantities, right? So you may hear contractors say, well, I'm boss on this project, but then you notice that there's a whole set of sand remaining, a whole set of blocks remaining, because the quantity survey, the assessment of the material needed may not have been at the best quality. So you probably overestimated what you needed. And so we have to understand where our contractors came from, who are our contractors, and I believe we owe it to our constituencies to help in terms of that training, additional training, because if we are to go the other route, what you're going to find is that the big companies, the Queen and the Creative Designs and the other companies, will now be doing the little 10 feet of road in the community. Question is, do we want that, or do we want to have different categories of jobs that ordinary poor persons at the community can access? But I'm 100% with you that we need to look at how do we upgrade and how do we build the capacity of these contractors on the ground. Mind you, some of them are excellent.
No, I do agree that there's some of them who do quite a wonderful job, but then there are those that you like, okay, fine, you did this, but it ends up being an embarrassment to themselves, to the community, and by extension, of course, to the government. But you spoke of something which I believe has to be done a lot more and more rigid, which is the visits by the gentleman from, or the lady, whatever, from the Ministry of Works, that person who is supervising, who is looking to see whether or not that person is following what they have to do, and don't just visit this year and by next year is when you're visiting again. You need to have more regular visits by that person, so that the contractor can be kept in line and not make a mistake this week and you take 2 weeks because you did not come, you take 2 weeks to find it out. So that, I believe, is something that needs to be done also.
And Andre, as old people would normally say, I think that's probably the crux of the matter. If I start a project today and you guided me as to what your expectations are. You probably should not return when I'm finished, but in between they're monitoring what I'm doing. And of course, human resource availability at the parish level may also have to be looked at. But with everything, there's room for improvement, and no one would deny that that's an area that we can improve across the country in terms of infrastructure and the monitoring of infrastructural projects.
It's real. It's 91.9, 91.5, www.therealfmgrenada.com. 15 minutes after the 8 o'clock hour. Minister, speak to us about persons in your constituency who have been following through with what the state has been asking them to do, taking the vaccine. What's going on?
I have to say, Andrea, that I'm not satisfied to lead in terms of vaccination. I can't say that. I've met many people who are very reluctant. I have met many people who have not made up their minds as yet. Many people who are still skeptical and still afraid. But let me use this excellent opportunity, Andre, to say that the government of Grenada has taken the position of the need for vaccination for one reason and one reason only, so that we can get back as close to normal as possible for the sake of the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. So when we speak about the economy and the bounce back of the economy, it's not for the economy's sake, it's for the people's sake. Right? When we speak about wanting to return to more social engagement, it's not for social engagement's sake, it's for the people's sake. And so with the people in mind, the government has recognized that we will forever be lagging behind in this process of getting back close to normal if we do not have herd immunity. And that means that the majority of our people are vaccinated. Now, I have been engaging and reaching out to a number of persons in the constituency. We'll continue to do that, and also to provide the support system. So you don't have the means to get to the medical center. We know this is not, like probably we're doing something that's attractive down the road, so everybody's rushing. We understand that. So we may even have to assist persons with transportation and so on where needed to be able to get it done. But I'm convinced without a doubt, Andre, I took both shots and I had absolutely no side effects as a result of that. And I understand why I took all other vaccines before, even if I had no control over that, right? So I only heard about the vaccines that I got. I had no control, but I understand why. So when I listened to Ray Roberts explain why he has a physical disability now, because he did not take a particular vaccine, and the effect of that particular illness, I understand why my parents would have done what they did. And so for me, I would encourage anyone who has not yet been vaccinated to do so. I would encourage you, any questions, any doubt, have them answered. I heard so many things from a religious perspective. One of the things that, fortunately for me, is that the bishop of my church is also a medical doctor. And so immediately that all of these questions started coming, I went to that source and I asked all the hard questions and I got all the answers and I became satisfied. So if I had questions, I would expect everyone else to probably have questions. And what I would say to someone is, don't just remain with your questions. Ask somebody, reach out to somebody who knows better. Reach out to somebody who would have the information. Even when you go to the medical center, you can ask the nurse, you can ask the doctor there. You can question, it's okay. But don't just sit back. Because, Andre, the fear of this, and we see what's happening in Trinidad right now. The worst thing we can do where we are now is to go back. The worst thing we can allow to happen. And it's very easy to go back. It's very easy to have a lockdown again. It's very easy to say 24-hour curfew. That's very easy. Mm-hmm. If we allow a situation where persons who are coming in, and let us be frank with ourselves, mm-hmm. that people are not just coming in through the regulated borders. People are coming in Telescope. People are coming in Hope. People are coming in wherever there's an entry point where there's no established Port Authority personnel. Let us just be real.
Yeah.
That is a risk. We've heard the police said people charged, people arrested for coming in illegally. We cannot man the entire border. And so with persons coming in unchecked, without a vaccine, without a test, what we are doing is putting ourselves at risk. And so it is in our best interest, Andre, that we get vaccinated. And I would continue to do what I have to do at the constituency level, educated and encouraging persons to get vaccinated.
You know, there's something I as you're talking there, my mind went to something, and it is said that the vaccine has not been tested and it was developed very quick, and people don't trust it. And I agree with that totally, fine. But I would like to ask the question. Tell me, when the malaria vaccine was developed or the polio vaccine was developed, how long did they take before they started administering those vaccines? And then you may say, okay, fine, well, they have stood the test of time. And I agree. Well, if we don't have time, how can this vaccine now stand the test of time? We need to give the vaccine time to stand the test of time, and therefore we need to take it.
But not only that, Andre, when you do your research, and that is why the knowledge is important, when you do the research, you understand the connection between COVID-19 and other things that came before COVID-19. And you understand that this is not something that was just rushed 2 nights and overnight and came out and there's no check and there's no standards and there's, we have to do the research and understand that not everything that we hear may be true. And in Grenada especially, you learn that. And so everything that we hear, we want to make sure that we have an opportunity to check it, verify it, and to do what is right in our best interest. And if you ask me, I believe it's in the best interest of everyone concerned to be vaccinated, to protect themselves, and to protect others. We just don't know what is ahead of us. And so that is my encouragement to everybody, because I deeply care about our people and our nation and where we go from here.
Real FM Radio, 20 minutes now after the 8 o'clock hour. Andrea Donald speaking with Minister Emlyn Pierre, of course, Minister for Education. But that portfolio is so long sometimes. I tend to just stick with education, and I know that I'm right, so I stick there, because I know it has information, it has religious affairs. I just don't know what else. I'm not going to embarrass Andre this morning. Minister for Education is quite enough, and that does not take any. As a matter of fact, let's go to the ministry. Minister for Education. That is some task, especially, Minister, at this point in time. That is some task. It's very stressful in terms of COVID and ensuring that the children have the best possible conditions and that they're not exposed. But also at this time, Minister, you have the challenge of union negotiations and workers needing what is, of course, due to them and needing it now, and state can't provide it at this point in time. Tell us what's going on. Leave the ministry alone and tell us what's happening in your schools, Minister.
Yeah, and you have a tree growing in a school, So
yes,
you're right, Andre. When people ask me how I've done this, I can only boil it down to God's grace and His mercy. It has been a very rough past 3 years. And what I'm really, really happy about, Andre, is that where we are today, I believe we have advanced, right, in so many different ways. And of course, we don't have the time to discuss that. And that is why in any crisis, what is important and critical is how you ensure that the next crisis doesn't meet you in the same position. Meaning that you use every crisis to make the best of it, to take advantage of it, right? And so it is a challenge, but I'm excited about the challenge, Andre, because I have seen those areas where we have been able to address critical things that I'm not sure that they would have been focused on in that way had it not been for COVID-19. So in everything that appears to be bad, there's some good. But let me just use the opportunity while I smiled over it. Now, school infrastructure. School infrastructure is a major issue, and it will always be a major issue, Andre. I don't care which government, which minister, school infrastructure will always be a challenge. Now, sometimes you hear an individual speak, you almost get caught into thinking that we have one school in Grenada. Now, when you consider that you have around 200 buildings that you have responsibility for, then you start understanding that this is a mammoth task. So once you complete in this school, Andre Donald Secondary School, you finish and everybody is happy. Then you come to Emmeline Peer Primary School and the tree is growing in that school. And let me use the opportunity to address Florida Government School, Andre, at this time, which has been a major area of concern. The ministry's approach to addressing infrastructure has changed. So it is no longer, you call me and I run here, you call me and I run there. What the ministry did was an assessment of all schools in Grenada, right? Because the previous approach may end up with us doing work in a school where it's not a priority. So this principal can shout loudest, and when I say shout, I don't mean directly shout, but to make their case sound the worst. Because previously it was just a written report that determined whether or not your school got the priority. So we changed that. And so we got an assessment of every school around the island done, and then we ranked the schools in order of priority based on the situation. Florida Government School was actually one of those schools that were identified. And so, as a result of what was identified there, you know the Great House, you're a Western guy, so we were told that we have to abandon the Great House because there is need for work there. So Florida Government School was never abandoned. Work was done to build a temporary building to relocate the principal and other ancillary staff to accommodate the students for lunch and so on. That temporary building was constructed at Florida Government School so that the Great House would now be empty so that work can start there. And then the assessment said to us that on the main building that we needed to do repairs on that building. Of course, Florida Government School was listed under local funds for repairs. And so with COVID-19 coming and the repurposing on funds and all of that, there was some delay in the start of that project. But before we were ready to start the project back, a decision was taken to do a further assessment of the building. And so we got a second opinion of assessment on the building, bringing in this time an engineer. What did the engineer say now? The engineer said that yes, the work on the Great House is needed, but the main school, they are in doubt whether we should do any repairs. Similar case to Bishop's College, that you have a building down for repairs, you've done the scope of works, you know how much it's going to cost you, and then you have a recheck by the engineer, the final check, which says, no, don't waste monies and repair this building. It's like the TAMCC building in Carriacou right now, where we've been looking at repairs, we've looked at funding, but now the engineer is saying, abandon this building, new building from scratch. So now you have to get additional funds because what you catered for before was repairs, not a new building. But Florida Government School has another issue. You're a Western guy, so you would know better than I do that this school is in this location for a similar reason where the school had to be relocated. And so there seems to be different views as to whether or not a new school should be reconstructed on site. So when the ministry says that it does not have the funds to move immediately, if we're repairing that school, we would have done so already. But because we have made up our minds that we are giving them, as we normally would say, a brand new school, that requires additional resources, which we are getting at this time. But also very importantly, Andre, we did the consultation with the stakeholders. So I was part of a meeting where parents were engaged. We engaged the principal and teachers. We gave options. We engaged the parliamentary representative. There was an option to move to another location. The school and the community was uncomfortable with that other location because of its closeness. In one case, somebody said to a rum shop, somebody said to the river, and all of that. And they said, let us stay here. We are going to make it work. And so we spoke with the Adventist Church. They graciously agreed to give one of their massive tents to put in the schoolyard and to make sure we can have some temporary shifts. And they said, no, we don't want to have a tent. We are going to make it work wherever we are, and we just need the ministry support. And what we are giving is our support to complete this term, which was an understanding that we are completing this term. Now we are in the process of stakeholder engagement. We are engaging the school community and the community at large, because we must now make a decision. Where will Florida Government School be located in the future? And so we want to engage all concerns. We're going to be going out into the community, getting the views of parents, students, everyone concerned, because we don't want to rush this, Andre. Number one, we need a new school, so we don't have all the funds to start it. And number two, we need consensus on the location for that new school. So I just want to give the assurance through your program this morning. Florida Government School was never abandoned. Florida Government School was placed under local funding. We started the process by constructing a temporary building to be able to start the actual work on the Great House. And as I said before, everything else that happened is now history. And I would add, all things work together for good, because thank God we did not actually start that work then. Now we are going to have a new school. So sometimes, things don't always work out the way we want it to work out, but let us just be patient. Let us understand it's all for the greater good. And we're going to work together to ensure that we have a new facility for that community.
Karaku, you were on building a school there. What's the progress on that one?
Right. So I don't think Karaku in a very, very long time, many, many years, has had the level of infrastructural work that we've done within this last 6 months, last year. And we're talking about during COVID, right? Now, while that is being done, and we have been praised by the MP and everyone else for the work that has taken place, the problems will continue because there are so many schools. So Tamsisi Karaku, we do have a major problem there. As a matter of fact, I was told that when this building was constructed, it was never originally constructed for this purpose. And so you have a lot of cracks that are in the building. The engineers have said that it is okay to stay there another year, thereabout. They are quite confident that nothing is going to happen in that time. But for us, we value people's safety, people's emotional comfort. We value that. And so we are working with the school, the principal and the teachers there, to try to identify an alternative location. Now, once that is identified, as we've just done with Bishop's College and all of that, and Karaku is not a place with a lot of options, mind you, when it comes to relocating. That's a challenge. And so we are hoping that when the students of Bishop's College move back from the temporary accommodation now, that we should be able to now start the process of accommodating TAMCC. Once that is done, we are hoping by then we would have been able to identify some source of funds, because we have to build a new building. But Andre, we are not going to rush this, and let me explain why. What was done there was a situation of fitting TAMCC into a building. We want to change that. We want to change that. We want to fit a building into TAMCC now. In other words, the design of that building must feature the vision for TAMCC in Carriacou. Where is boat building, for example? Whatever you're going to do in terms of constructing a building that we call TAMCC Carriacou branch must be well thought out. The consultation must be broad and wide, and it must capture the vision of the Carriacou people. Carriacou and Petit Matnik, I don't want to get in trouble, right? It must capture their vision. What do they want? What does the future for Carriacou look like? What do we need to invest in? Do we need more hospitality? Do we need more fishing sector related initiative in terms of education? What do we need? Where does TVET fall into the landscape of education in Carriacou? So we are not going to rush this. I want to say this. We are not going to rush this process. We're going to take our time, do it properly, and make sure that the people of Carriacou, the people of Florida, have something that they are proud of. That is important. In the meantime, we may have some challenges, but we are going to get something that all of us would be proud of in the end.
I hear the comments of past students of the Grenada Seventh-day Adventist Comprehensive School, i.e. Mount Rose. When they pass by, they speak to the development of the school. I saw that the whole roof had to be taken off. Was that part of the project, or did that come because it was discovered when they started to work?
Yeah, and Andre, this is the story of our life. And it happens in our home, so we shouldn't be very surprised. You decide that you want to change this thing here, you want to fix this particular thing here, and you knock it and you realize you have to take down something else, and you go into areas that you never thought of, because when the hammer goes, you realize things start falling apart. Yeah. So it means that the same thing is going to happen with our schools. Very often the contractor goes in, they do an assessment, and when you think that you can handle X and Y can come later, you get in and then you realize you must do X plus Y. Major facility upgrade there, over $7 million invested in that facility. And sometimes people don't understand. So you may hear somebody in Florida say, well, they're spending so much in this school here. Why they didn't take some and put in Florida? Let us be reminded that different projects fall under different funding agencies. So that project there actually falls under the Caribbean Development Bank. Florida Government School falls under local funding, right? And so you would notice that different schools are funded by different sources. Major in Carriacou, we catered for about $10 million. This has gone way over that because, as I said, a building that you intend to repair, you then realize you have to construct it again from scratch. But good news as it relates to St. Andrew's Anglican Primary School. Mm-hmm. Good news as it relates to Grenada Christian Academy, and I know persons, particularly in this side of the island, would want to know what is happening. So we are expecting that by the end of this year, we should be very, very close as it relates to the start of project with regards to Grenada Christian Academy. I don't want to say that boots would be on the ground by December. We are working hard towards that. If it doesn't happen, it's going to be very early in the new year, because you know those processes, especially when you're dealing with a regional or international bank, and how those can be delayed. But I've seen the drawing. The school has signed off on the drawing. Beautiful, Andre. I call it the next university in St. Andrew.
I've been in close, I've been in close conversation with the principal, Mrs. King. And I can tell you, yes, they're satisfied. And they're looking forward to that day when you drop the boots on the ground.
For Mrs. King's sake, I wanted to happen really quick. I know
she's
passionate about it.
And I'll tell you,
to get an opportunity to enjoy it.
I'll tell you this, Minister. If it is, and I'm not saying that I'm not speaking to the young lady's age, but if it is one principle you have to delay retirement, it is Mrs. King. You dare not do that. You dare not do it. I challenge the Public Service Commission.
That's after Miss King's
you can't do that. You just can't do that.
It happens before. I know she's probably going to die if it doesn't happen.
You can't do that.
I know she's very passionate about this. But St. Andrew's Anglican.
Yeah, where are you going to put that? Is it going to go to the same place?
Right. So St. Andrew's Anglican, let me alert the public that we are going to have some challenges. And when it comes to infrastructure, let's just make up our mind, that there's a cost of development, and that cost sometimes is us being uncomfortable, right? We have to prepare. We want better, and we sometimes have to prepare to go through a little challenge to get there. So St. Andrew's Anglican, we will have to relocate the school as it relates to temporary classes. It is very possible, and I'm not making a final pronouncement here, it is very possible that students and teachers will have to be relocated to the Progress Park area temporarily while the building is reconstructed on its present grounds, the same site where it is now. I know that would make many of our parents and teachers extremely happy. I couldn't believe that parents and teachers would be so passionate about having a building remain in the same place. I attended a meeting, and the passion and the anger and the, just the suggestion that we may have to move that school to another.
No.
The good news, the good news is that the designers of the facility have been able to come up with a design where it can stay in its current location. So far, this is the plan. I'm not saying that I'm making a final pronouncement of anything here. This is what is on the table at this stage. And we are hoping that we are going to be able to move ahead quickly on this. What we are most focused on right now is temporary relocation and doing something that reduces the cost. Because what we don't realize is that the expense of temporary relocation may have to come from the project. So you don't want to be reducing the project. Sometimes people don't understand. So people want a big fancy temporary building. So why would you want to waste $1 million that can go into the same project, as opposed to doing something that is not the most comfortable, but we understand what the word temporary mean. So we are looking at the possibilities and working towards that. And I really want to commend and appreciate the support and the patience of the principal and staff, the students and the parents of these particular schools that I've mentioned. And I only mentioned 4. Carriacou, TAMCC, and Bishop's College, Florida Government, St. Andrew's Anglican, and Grenada Christian Academy.
You have some
right?
work.
So
you have some work you're doing.
on.
You're doing some work at the St. Mark Secondary School outside there. Are you doing some work there?
No, but what I spoke to there, Andre, was just those schools where we have major issues and concerns.
Okay.
Now, it would be impossible for me to tell you this morning all of the schools that we are currently working on.
Yeah.
Right across the island. As a matter of fact, between last year and this year, we are spending over $50 million on school infrastructure. So in every part of Grenada, we are doing extensive work. In some cases, $1 million and over is being spent on renovating, upgrading, expanding. Not just renovating, I want to make the point, like in St. Patrick's, like in PBC, an entire new block is being constructed, right? J.W. Fletcher in St. George's going to be having a new block. So we're doing renovation and repairs, but we also adding to expand certain schools at this time. So I want to appeal, Andre, to the general public to be patient with us. It's impossible to do all at the same time. But when you recognize what we are doing, you understand that there's a bigger vision, there's a broader vision as it relates to school infrastructure and development. And all we appeal for is your patience and your understanding. And we attempt to do it together. We cannot do this alone.
It will be remiss of me if I didn't ask you how things going with the union. Where are we at? Are we going to see some normalcy return in relation to the education of our children? What's up, Minister?
I can only continue to appeal to the Grenada Union of Teachers to remember the times that we are in and the challenges that the government face financially. Right? I could only continue to appeal. The reality of this situation, and we have explained this over and over before, that the government made a commitment at a time when revenue was increasing, the economy was doing well, there was stability as it relates to the fiscal position of government, right? A commitment was made. And that commitment would have taken into consideration, so projections I'm sure were made, and we looked at different things when we came to that conclusion, looking ahead. So we project that the economy is going to continue to grow at the same rate. But of course, we could not have seen then that COVID was coming, right? Doesn't matter what glasses you were wearing, what kind of vision you have, we could not have seen that. And so COVID-19 came and totally changed the landscape of things economically. And it's the same as what happened when Hurricane Ivan came, right? We could not have seen that coming. I mean, you could expect those things anytime, but you could not have said, okay, let's not do 4%, let's do 2% because we're expecting COVID-19 coming, right? We did it in good faith, believing that based on the trends that we were seeing economically, that we would be able to pay 4% in 2020 and this year as well. So 2020 was just the onset of COVID-19 coming just a little after that. Of course, we met that commitment. We were not affected in that particular way. So we did it, right? In 2020, we paid the 4%. So sometimes I hear persons say, how many years teachers did not get an increase? It's not fair to say that. It is not fair to say that. But of course, I understand some people don't know better, right? So since this government has come into office, and I'm talking about from 2013 until last year, the government has been meeting its commitment for salary increase consistently. And I might even add religiously, meaning every time it has to happen, we did it, right? Because this government is very particular about those commitments that we have with workers. And anytime it cannot be done, bet your life, it's because of some circumstance or some issue that the government is facing that ties its hand. And I dare say that when we can do even more than what is committed, we do that. So let's look at an example. The government and the union says technology is heading this direction. Let us ensure that every school has laptops so that our teachers can make use of them. So what was the agreement between government and the union? Let us have average about 6 laptops in every school. Andre, COVID came, and we got an opportunity, we saw an opportunity through the repurposing of funds from the Caribbean Development Bank. And guess what? We moved from 6 laptops per school to 1 laptop per teacher in every school. This is a government that wants to keep its commitment, right? So we did it in 2020. We paid the 4% increase in 2020. And then what started happening? It's visible for everyone to see the downward spiral in terms of the changes in the financial landscape in Grenada, not just for government, the private sector as well. And so government says, look, we are committed to do this, but right now it is impossible to do it based on the revenue that we are collecting. We are going to continue to pay you all your other benefits. So you just studied, you just completed your study, and you have to get an upgrade in salary as we committed to you before. We're going to continue to do all that. You have to go on sabbatical leave. We're going to continue to pay you for that. You have to go and study. We're going to continue to pay you for that. All those things that we have been doing before, we're going to continue to do it. We commit that to you. We're going to continue to pay your salary every month, and we're going to continue paying it on time. But this one thing we cannot do right now is to give you the 4% increase for this particular year. Give us a little more time. Let us get SGU back. Let us get the economy back. Let us get certain activities that has been down. Let us get the airports open. And once we are back on stream, we are committing that we're going to give you, but we're going to give you retroactively. So we're going to go right back to January and give you January, February, March, right down to wherever we started. Now, I thought this was really reasonable, Andre, considering what we've been through. But it appears that the union does not think that this is reasonable and that government could find the money and that government can make it happen. And government continues to say to be able to do that, we would have to shut down. So all these schools, right? All of these things that are happening. I mean, let us remember that there are different sources of funds. So I've heard persons say, stop repairs of school and pay the money. But let us remember, the source for the repairs of school is not the same as the source for increase in salaries. It's as simple as that. It is a different source. A bank is giving you a loan, for example, to repair school. You cannot go to the bank and say, I'm going to take the money and I'm going to pay salary increases. Well, that might be the last loan you get, and then you might have penalties to go with that, right? You might even end up in court. So I'm making the point to say, Andre, this government never said we're not going to pay you. This government said we have a track record of paying you every year. We are not like previous administration that went years without paying you. We have a track record. You can judge us on that. And know that as soon as things turn around, that we are going to do so. Unfortunately, Andre, and I've heard certain statements which are very, very unfortunate. Regardless of how you feel about the Prime Minister, regardless of how you feel about the Ministry of Education, let us remember that the people who are most affected by all of this are our children. Our children. And I would say, for their sake, let us come to a conclusion, a resolution, not just for them now, but for their future. When we hear terms like generational catastrophe, we start understanding that what we do today doesn't just have implications for today. It has implication for a lifetime. And that is why I say to parents and teachers, let us be careful with flaunting A's on report cards, because those A's may be for what you did in the exam. Those A's may not reflect what you should have known at the time of the exam. And so we have to be very careful to view this in its broadest context and to view it in a way that we understand that we want the best for Grenada, we want the best for our people, and so we have to make the right decisions together. And let me just go one step further, Andre. I know you're quoting the time, but I'll say one last thing. Government has gone further to say, look, we don't have the money in cash, but we can do what was done in the past by maybe previous administration, maybe even ours, to find another means of paying you, another means of giving you access to cash than the government giving you cash, which is through bonds. And so we have laid that on the table through the government negotiating team. And from my understanding, from the report of the negotiating team, that has not been accepted by the union. I can only continue to pray that, we get to that point where we understand that we want the best for everyone concerned.
8 minutes before the 9 o'clock. Minister, I couldn't have you here this morning and not ask you, how is your NNP going? You're the public relations officer for that institution. How are you guys doing? What's happening? What's taking place? Oh, by the way, I understand that you guys had a good meeting last night and all protocols were followed in terms of COVID at the Boca Secondary School. What can you tell us?
Right. Yes, Andre, just to say this, that our party has been extremely supportive of the government in ensuring that even during a time like this, that the government continues to provide opportunities for its people, continue to seek the needs of our people. So we've been very supportive. There's a difference between party and government. Now, as you know, COVID-19 would have affected interaction as it relates to these meetings. These meetings are normal. It's not a case where we do them in a particular season. The New National Party, you can say this, throughout the year, it engages people throughout in all constituencies. And so we've restarted those meetings, deliberately doing them indoors because we want to maintain a level of order. We want to respect the government's protocols. And so we have been having those meetings in every constituency, very, very successful, engaging with our people, hearing from them, and the political leader has been leading those meetings because, of course, you know him by his very nature. He enjoys interacting face to face with people and hearing from them directly. So your concerns, your whatever they are, given that opportunity. So the party has been doing that. But from the welfare perspective, the party has also been engaged during this period and has been doing a lot of work through its various arms. So whether it's the women's arm, I'm sure you've heard them even getting into new areas during this period, communicating with the public on critical issues. And I commend them for that. Politics is not just about talking politics, but it's also about empowering people. Right? And yes, so the arms of the party have been functional. The youth arm has also been engaging the young people. As a matter of fact, I know of an activity happening on Saturday on the western side. Some weeks ago, they also had an engagement there with young people. So the party has been very active, even if those restrictions of COVID-19 may not have caused it to be as active as it usually would be in the public. So active does not mean necessarily that you're publicly engaging with people, but we've been doing all of those things that are necessary in terms of our organizational structure. The General Secretary has been active during this period, and we continue to do what we have to do. But, you know, I'm going to stress just one word in my opinion that really captures the essence of the New National Party, and which is a united team. A united team with strong leadership seeking the interests of the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. Now, let me just make this point, Andre, that we all don't share the same political views. And sometimes I get the sense that everybody wants everybody to believe what they believe and to agree with what they say. It's not going to happen. We ought to respect people's political opinions, right? Doesn't mean that yours is right. Doesn't mean that mine might be right, but we ought to respect everyone's political choice, preference, and opinion. Now, but there are some things that are not debatable, Andre, and let us just understand that. So there are opinions and there are facts. Now, when you speak about a political organization that is united, you can speak about the New National Party. That is one of the things I admire. Doesn't mean that the party doesn't have people who have differences of opinion, and we do express them openly. We discuss them, we find solutions. And so that united approach has helped significantly in the New National Party being where it is right now. But not just the issue of unity. Another flagship as it relates to the party's success and its current position is that of leadership. The party has had strong leadership for many, many years, and that has influenced and impacted the position and where we are. Whether you like NNP or you don't like NNP, it's a fact that cannot be refuted. The party has been united and has had strong leadership, right? Added to that, Andre, I want to say this. Our party has represented all sectors of our society and has been seeking the interests of all sectors of our society. Of course, you know, we have a passion for the poor and the vulnerable and ensuring that we lift them up in every possible way that we can do that. We have a passion there. We have sought to seek the interests of and the development of Grenada in all sense of the word, because it's party that gives you government, right? And so we have been strengthening our team. As you notice, we've had a few appointments of caretakers, and we continue to do the political work that we have to do to ensure that we keep Grenada safe and we keep Grenada in a way that we continue to advance.
Minister, finally this morning, this one comes way out of left field. There is a developing situation, seems to be, at the St. George's University in relation to persons were denied from entering the compound because they did not take the vaccine and they could not have turned out to work yesterday, I believe it was. Are you able to speak on behalf of government on this, or do you have a personal view on this? Which is it?
Okay. So I think the government's position on this has been clear for many months. The Prime Minister has articulated that. Members of government have articulated that. The government's policy as it relates to vaccination is that we are not going to go the route of legislation. So we are not going to say, as some countries have proceeded to say, that the law requires you to be vaccinated. We have not gone that route. And as far as I'm aware, from our political as well as our government conversations, we do not intend to go that route. Well, except something really, I mean, the situation would have to become one that is really deplorable. I can't see us going that route based on pronouncements we have made. However, Andre, we have stated over and over that employees do have their rights and employers also have their right. So let us look at an employer in the case of a homeowner who has 2 or 3 persons working with them privately. Now that person, because of their right, can say to those persons, look, I am concerned about my health. I'm very uncomfortable with you coming in my home not vaccinated. And so I would love for you to remain home until you get vaccinated, or when you make up your mind. I'm not forcing you. I'm not saying you have to, but I want to protect my space, my children, right? And so I've known of persons who have housekeepers and gardeners and so on who have done that. The government cannot tell you, Andre, that you cannot do that, right? Now, in addition to that, you also have cases like the hotel sector. You have SGU, where you have large volumes of people, locals as well as foreigners, engaging. You remember that Sandals situation and the impact that it had in communities. And I can speak firsthand because in one of the communities that I represent, they were literally on lockdown because there were some persons in that particular community who contracted COVID-19. But you know what was sad? People were, I listened to people during that period. People were literally talking of these people in a scornful way. And it was painful. But painful not just because of what people were saying in referring to them, but what they went through during that period. The support that they needed, couldn't leave their homes and all of that. And I believe all that we are trying to do is to protect everyone, including the persons that they may be saying should be vaccinated. So I don't think this is a case of abuse. I don't think this is a case of discrimination, as is said. I think this is a case of an organization understanding the risk. Because remember, it was announced that thousands of SGU students would be returning. That is the intention. Now, I would believe it's in my interest to protect, even if I don't care about them. But I would want to think that it would be in my best interest to protect myself. Now, if these people come back, I get sick, what happens? The university has to shut down. Then you see the social media pictures of the long lines with suitcase, people heading out again. Now, I don't know if they're going to come back ever. 25% of our GDP, Andre, let's get real, you know. It's Real FM, so let's get real. 25% of our GDP is earned through St. George's University, income from St. George's University activities. So we can pretend that is not important. We can pretend it doesn't matter. But for many people, their bread and butter depends on that. When a businessman can tell you, because St. George's University was closed, my income, my revenue dropped by almost $100,000, then you understand the relationship. The farmers, the people who have been selling to Real Value, do you know where most of Real Value's customers come from? I don't have the statistics, but I can just common sense say that the SGU community shops there a lot. Now, when they're not there, it's less revenue for them, and you might say, well, they'll survive. But what about the farmer in St. Patrick's who sell to them. They say, no, 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 we don't want any lettuce until further notice. What happens to his lettuce? Yeah. What happens to his family that he has to feed? What happens to his children? So I think, we can get very emotional about those issues, but I think sometimes, Andre, we want to look at the broader picture and understand why. Why are we doing this? Is it because you don't like people and you just want to make people unhappy and, upset them? I mean, who would want to do that, right? But you have to look at the bigger picture of Grenada. I am thinking, if Grenada was to achieve herd immunity, Andre, we would have to be refusing people in the tourism sector. Because tell me where else in the Caribbean that the state, as it relates to COVID-19, is as favorable as ours for tourism. Tell me where, right? And so we have to look at the bigger picture. I respect people's rights. I respect people's concern. I respect how people may feel that, we are treading into territories that, gets into affecting their own personal space and their freedom and their right and so on. But sometimes in considering our rights, we also have to look at the bigger picture, and that is my appeal to persons. Of course, if you have a very strong medical reason or grounds or strong spiritual grounds on which you feel that you cannot take this vaccine, my encouragement will still be get a second opinion, right? Because I've seen persons change their mind when they got a second opinion and they got some more information. That would be my encouragement this morning.
Well, you've given so much to us. Here's something coming from one of our listeners, and he says here, whereas every person in Grenada is entitled to the fundamental rights and freedom, that is to say, the right of whatever his race, place of origin, political opinion, color, creed, or sex, but subject to respect for the rights and freedom of others and for public interest. And that is from the Constitution, yeah.
We can break it down very simple. Let us look at our rights to express ourselves, right? And I heard one drunk guy saying it in those words. Well, go and stand up in front of the police station and use any words that you choose and see how far your right to free expression goes, And you're absolutely right that we have rights, but there are limitations and there are conditions in some cases to those. And we have to remember that our rights is not just without any boundaries as well, because remember, just as we have, other people do have. And I always make the reference to employment, that I have a right that I can choose not to work, right? So I'm employed with you. I can choose I'm not going to work, and I'm not telling you I'm not bringing a sick leave. That is my right. But now you have a right that you can choose not to pay me.
Yeah.
So we have to be considerate to each other in whatever the situation that we face. And let me just make this point in wrapping this particular subject up. Government has not passed any legislation, but government is very considerate to the rights of all parties involved in this situation, and government, understanding the bigger picture, continues to encourage us to get vaccinated so that we can continue to get back to those days when we can see our economy growing and opportunities for people are flowing.
Yes, no. Can youth for and in development be done again?
Say that again.
Can youth for and in development be done again? Yes, no.
I don't like yes or no questions,
no.
But the answer is yes. The answer to that is yes, Andre.
All right, so we'll work on that. Minister, take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day. Say hello to the boys and the big guy for me, and stay safe.
I'll do that. And let me just say to my constituents this morning, I wish them a blessed day. God's strength, God's peace upon them. And just to say that I'm in the Telescope office this morning, as I normally would do on Wednesday, and at the Subi's office this afternoon, as I normally do on Wednesday afternoon. So I just want to wish them a special day and to remind them of how much my heart is with them with love.
Take care, Minister. Bye-bye.
What you say?
It is real. It's 91.9, 91.5, www.realfmgrenada.com. 9 minutes after the 9 o'clock hour. Yeah. News, that's next.
Triple N. Informative, entertaining, and first. Every hour on the hour.
This is the latest news update from the Northern News Network. Details coming up shortly.
Who wants to save 30%? Everybody! Now more than ever, Flow understands the need to make your dollar stretch. Our new bundles can help you save 30% off your current bill. Plus, get a free speed upgrade on your in-home internet. Simply add your mobile to your current home services account and save 30%. It's easy. Sign up now and save. All on the most reliable fixed and